Good day, good afternoon, good evening, my people. It's your man, Mr. LP, with the MPN Network Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a special edition action going on. VAX 904, the real deal on COVID-19 vaccine. So, first off, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you follow us, the MPN Network, on Facebook. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff everywhere. MPN Management is where you will find us. We bring you the latest podcasts, music news, and all that good stuff. And right now, we're going to be talking about COVID-19 vaccine action. So we're bringing on two guys that are in the building. We thank them for coming on and showing some love. So we have Mikhail Scott. He's a director of government and corporate relations with Indelible
Indelible.
indelible business,
Oh
which
yeah.
means to leave a lasting mark. He told me that before the camera came on. I thought that was pretty dope with what we're about to talk about. And also we have Dr. Bruce James, founder of Healthcare Equity Solutions from Bainbridge, Georgia. Fellas, how y'all doing today?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Thanks for having us on. We've been out here grinding in Duval, and we're excited to talk to the people about the work we've been able to do.
Yeah,
Thank you
definitely.
so much for coming to Jacksonville, Florida. Hopefully your time here has been great. This is my city. I have my shirt on, Duval versus everybody, but
I see you.
yeah, just trying to rep. So first off, before we get into anything, you have the FAMU hat on. So shouts out to all the Rattlers, man. I know
All
a
right.
lot of Rattlers, man. A lot of family members, a lot of friends.
A lot of good people. A lot of good people.
A lot of great people have came out of that institution, man. So shouts out to FAMU, man. So um I need to say I should have went to FAMU, but that's another story. So
There's always another chance, Brad. Come
listen,
Dr. Peters instead, right?
listen, I was looking like I'm shooting to get my master's degree, man. So I
Right.
was like, it would be cool to go to a HBCU, and definitely FAMU is on that list. So I'm trying to find out what'll work for me and the world that I'm in. So
Well, we have an amazing online program, and I would definitely recommend checking it out for folks that might not be in Florida. I'm always pubbing my university. It's nothing like going to a HBCU and being a black man in America, man. They teach you truly what you need to learn to move and navigate in these spaces. So big shout out to FAM.
yeah, definitely, man. And shouts out to the I went to a Savannah State University for a couple of years.
Mhm.
Came back home, but I got my degree at Florida State College of Jacksonville. But so I have a little bit of a HBCU in me, but I just feel like I want to be official and actually get some papers from there. So
Yeah,
we're
definitely.
working on it. So in due time. So
Come on.
yeah. So speaking on being black, being a black man in America, that's what we really want to focus on today in regards to the inner city African American men. Um, Talk about men's health. Now, there's this this uh this stigma about African American men dealing with health and going to the doctor and staying up on the health and the well beings of that. So now that we have the COVID-19 vaccine, that puts more thoughts and more fear in a lot of people's thoughts, especially with African American men. So let's speak on that today. Let's speak on that. So there's a lot of black men who feel they can avoid the coronavirus with being holistic, just having a holistic lifestyle. So how can a holistic way of taking care of yourself coincide with what many say is the necessity to take the vaccine?
Well, I'll jump it off, and then
Yeah,
I'll let Dr. James chime in, but more so from a public health perspective, right, or just from a overall wellness. If you're living a holistic lifestyle, right, what does that mean exactly? It means you're eating properly, right? You have a whole and a balanced diet. So for me and my background is food insecurity and trying to mitigate food insecurity in underserved communities. And so when you're eating healthier your body, you're living right, you're not living bad habits that would affect your health, most certainly, right, you would be in a better position to be susceptible to certain illnesses. But let's be real though, let's be very, very truthful and factual on this, right? Most of the time in our community, that's not the case, right? A lot of our communities are underserved, right? They're in food deserts. You're living in an area where your closest grocery store is 5 miles away. So what are you eating every day, right? What is your son eating? You know, what are your kids, your cousins? A lot of times we don't have those resources, and it's fueled us to be in a position where chronic disease runs rampant in the African American community. And when you talk about wellness, one of the most underlying issues is obesity, right? Statistics show that about 40% plus of African American men suffer from obesity, which then stems to things like, diabetes, over heightened blood pressure, right? High cholesterol. So in a realistic and an ideal world, if you're living right and you're living that way, you might be less susceptible, but you're still vulnerable. And then the reality for the Black community is that's not the lifestyle we're living, and the statistics show that. So we are more at risk for COVID. And I think Dr. James can kind of chime in to just show really what it looks like for a Black man to say that he's not going to get vaccinated because he feels like he's susceptible or he's invincible, because he's actually the most vulnerable individual in the U.S.
Right. And I mean, so the holistic lifestyle, eating natural, eating organic, that all of those things are great. They're really good. But the thing is, getting the proper vitamins and nutrients into your immune system, that's all a start, right? So that's what it takes for your immune system to be competent and to be charged enough to even combat the virus. That doesn't stop you from contracting the virus or getting the virus, and it definitely doesn't stop you. It doesn't determine what type of the virus you get, whether it's mild to moderate or whether it's severe. And I'm here to tell you, and what you guys have probably experienced, what we all have experienced as a country over the past year, is people that we know in really good condition, in tip-top condition, with good fighting, good, strong immune system, who has unfortunately succumbed to this virus. So that was an indicator for us and some of us in the healthcare world that, hey, having a strong immune system may not be enough to keep you safe if you were to contract this virus.
Yeah, that definitely was the scary part about it. Going through the going through the motions when it comes to the COVID-19 going around and stuff like that, and seeing family and friends that you thought were like strong body, that were like that were like, you just never knew it would affect them to that degree, and these people were being affected by it. And I think for me personally, that definitely put a question mark in my head, like, wow, like this is serious.
So I'll, in addition to that, I'll use this to tell us just a little quick story. So I had a patient, and I'll leave his name out. Had a patient, came in, great patient, one of my long-lasting patients, healthy man. He was about, I think he was 71 years old, but this is what I'll call a healthy 71. He still would get out there. He would jog at 71. He would jog 3 to 5 miles a week. So everyone in the pharmacy knew him. He was just somebody that was known throughout the community for health. Well, Mr. X, I'll say, contracted COVID. Mr. X, he contracted it on Sunday evening. He went into the hospital Monday morning. He stayed in the hospital. He was in ICU 4 days, 96 hours. He passed that Friday. Immune system in tip-top shape. Understand, I feel his medication, so I kind of know, history of his patient records. But it was that day. That was still early on. Everyone still was kind of taking COVID serious, kind of taking it now. Oh, it's only messing with old people. Oh, it's only messing with people, who have compromise, who are immunocompromised. And it was that day that I said, okay, yeah, this is serious. This is something. There's something to this, and this is here to stay. So this is something we should take serious. And this was before the vaccine was here. So I knew then that it would only be a matter of time that the vaccine was then produced and would be available to the masses.
Right. Okay. So moving forward. So next question, are there specific challenges that men, especially African-American men, face that will make the vaccine unsafe? It's funny because we talked about the holistic aspect of it. Now, the other challenges that may occur. Like, are there any that you would like to specifically speak on?
So I'll take this one. And I mean, it's really the challenge against ourselves. This virus has shown us one thing, if it haven't shown us anything, and it's it thrives, and it is the worst in patients that are immunocompromised. It is the worst in patients that do suffer from multiple pre-existing disease states. So what does that look like for us? That looks like granddaddy who has high blood pressure, or granddaddy who suffers from high lipidemia, granddaddy who has high blood glucose issues. Granddad is more susceptible to succumbing from COVID-19 virus than any of us. And that's just not for granddad, that's for dad, that's for uncle, that's for big brother, that's for little brother, that's for anyone who has a conglomerate of pre-existing conditions. So when we ask what can we do as Black people, or what can the Black man do, or what's the biggest barrier between it, it's ourselves. It's us taking charge of our own personal health, and it's us doing the things day to day, week to week, that can help us and lead us to a more healthy state overall.
Right. And I think another important fact, right, this is a factual statistic. Anybody can Google this, right? When you look at the ethnicities, or the different ethnic groups that have been contracting COVID at the highest rates, studies show that about 1 in 800 African Americans have contracted COVID. So that is the highest number of any other ethnic group, of any other race in the US, right? So number one, we're the highest at catching it, but we're also the lowest population. So that shows we have less people across the country that are catching it at a higher rate. And then it gets even worse from there to say that about 1 in every 555 African-American men are more likely to pass from it, right? They're more likely to die. And these are factual statistics, right? You can go right now, for anybody that's listening, type in statistics for COVID for Black men, right? And that's another thing that, as Dr. James is saying, we have to get over ourselves. It's not enough to go to our peer group with no doctors, right? And let me just be specific. Dr. James, this is our medical director for VAX 904. He's a Tuskegee graduate, right? He's a FAMU graduate, has his degree, his doctorate in pharmacy. So when he says his patient, this isn't us just talking off the back of our, we're not just talking crazy. He sees these individuals. He knows their health, right? He's evaluating their health over a long period of time. And these are the real facts. We are more susceptible. We're being hit at a higher rate, and our people are dying. So our fathers are dying, our grandfathers, our uncles, right? Those people that you looked up to that could go and climb the roof and build a house and do anything, he's the one that passed away. And now it's left that gap, right? So we have to wise up and, if nothing else, educate ourselves so we know the facts for us.
Right. So a question came in the chat. I want to read that real quick. It says, having survived a severe case of COVID-19 prior to vaccines as a Black man in my late 40s, why should I consider the vaccine as opposed to relying on natural immunity? Very great question.
Yes, that is a really, really, really good question. I'm glad. Tim, thank you for that.
Shout out to Tim. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I would say one main thing, and this is with COVID specifically. COVID-19, the side effects, the lingering effects. So a lot of us, and I call it us Americans, we have what I like to call short-term memory. So if we get something, so say I contract COVID-19 and I just have no taste, no smell, and I know it's a global pandemic. Oh, that wasn't really bad. But with COVID-19, it's the latent side effects that are the worst thing for us. And the more times you contract COVID-19, the more times you put yourself in harm's way of developing those latent side effects. Latent side effects, what are you talking about, Dr. James? Well, the latent side effects, I mean, those blood clots are a severe side effect that is latent, and it's a natural side effect of COVID-19. COVID-19 is showing some really, really, really bad, it's doing some really bad things down the line to our big organs, our major organs, our liver, our kidney. We're finding blood clots in the lungs. We're finding different things, that go on secondary to contracting the virus. So although you may not feel bad, or you may not have had the severe form of it right then, it does some things, and it lingers, and it has some things in the background that you just don't want to put your body and make yourself susceptible to over time.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Dope. Yeah, I like the fact that you stated that we have to get over ourselves. I feel like that pride, and that pride is major when it comes to Black men, man. Like from the smallest element to the large forms or whatever. And I've experienced seeing other men, my peers, even family members, kind of frown down on, going to the doctor, or "Oh, I'm okay," and then and it goes deeper than that. So I definitely agree with that part.
Yeah.
All right, so the next question we have, so it says, what are the main questions that men ask about is our sexual health? Are there any adverse effects when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccine and sexual health for men? So before you answer that, I want to personally say that I'm vaccinated. I got my last shot uh last week. So yeah,
Okay.
so I took the initiative to get vaccinated, so I'm good to go. But I did have a lot of questions about it. I was very fickle about, or funny, didn't know what to do, or just I was just like, I don't know about it. But I was listening to like everything that was online, and just my peers talking or whatnot. But I had to do my due diligence and do my research and find out what was going on. But in the midst of that, I still had questions. I was like, well, you know, I don't want to turn into a tree. I don't want to turn into a mutant. Or is this going to affect my sexual life? Like, that was one of my main questions, like the sexual aspect of it. So could you speak more on that? And yeah, can you speak on that?
Yeah, so I will say, and this should, now, if this doesn't make everybody, whoever's on there here, whoever hears this, if you're a man, if this doesn't make you run and get a vaccine, I don't know what will. But actually, COVID-19 itself has negative effects. It can lead to erectile dysfunction, and that's the erectile dysfunction. We don't, as a man, we don't want to ever hear those words, ED. So yeah, so actually, us getting and contracting the virus, and that can be actually one of the latent side effects of COVID-19. So it is an added benefit there in getting the vaccine, as well, opposed to catching COVID-19 and having to experience that later on down the road.
Yeah.
And just from a very public perspective of what's already out there, right? If you go and check out what are the side effects if you do get vaccinated, right? From a men's health perspective or a sexual health perspective, what's been found to be the worst side effects at this point are things like soreness, possibly catching a fever, feeling fatigue. So those are the types of things that might keep you from being able to, right, do your thing the next day after your vaccine. But statistics are showing days after, typically if you have any type of interactions, and I know Dr. James can chime in on this, those are going to happen within the first couple of weeks, right? We aren't seeing any type of drastic side effects or changes in people's bodily functions weeks down the line, right? People are millions of people by the masses, right? And our white counterparts, our Asian counterparts, even Hispanic, although they are at a lower vaccination level as well, they're all getting them at a higher rate than we are. And we are over here like, oh, they're trying to get us. Like, it's all about us. No, it's not about us. It's the world, right? And we're trying to protect everybody with this. And it's important to get educated.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree with the education aspect of it, just doing the knowledge of it. So, yeah, I thought that was a great question, because the sexual health aspect of it definitely ties into the pride. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's one of a black man's pride when it comes to that area. So, very good question that was asked. Next question. I want to jump on into another question. We talked about fathers, we talked about uncles, cousins, grandfathers, all the male aspects of it. So what about the children? They've been vaccinated, numerous times. So is it important for the children to get it? Like, how does that work in regards to children, being the fact that they've been vaccinated when they have to go to school and get their specific shots that covers them from getting certain diseases? How does
Right.
the vaccine work for that?
So, I mean, it's really, really, really good you touch on that. It's actually legislation coming down in the works. In a few weeks to come, it'll be some legislation that passes, and it'll be for children ages 2 to 16. So let's just back up and let's just understand how clinical trials work a little bit. Children, the reason why when the vaccine first came out, children, pregnant women, it's a couple different, groups of people that they exclude from trials, and they call them like high risk groups. and they want to keep those special populations out of trials just because they are just that. They're a special population. They would much rather test the efficacy on the vaccine on the masses before they move to those special populations. So the clinical trials are set and put into place to let us know, in fact, is the vaccine or not safe or not. So after they determine whether it's safe or not, then they move on to those special populations, and begin to inoculate them. So to answer your question, I kind of wanted to lay that framework, lay that groundwork. To answer your question, yes, it is safe, and kids too. And children, it's deemed safe in children. They have some studies that just came out. It is safe in children, and that the world will be moving towards that, in weeks and months to come.
Gotcha. So the next question we have: what are some of the long-term health effects that seem to be prevalent from those people who have been affected with COVID-19? So I saw something online that stated that it was like, if you had COVID-19, do you need to get the second shot? Let's talk about that part right there. Like, what's
So you said if you have already had COVID-19, do you in fact need to get the second shot?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that was myself. I had COVID back in November. So what the studies show is if you have actually contracted COVID, and when you receive your first shot, it actually serves as a booster to those natural antibodies that you receive from having COVID. So I mean, when you catch any virus or anything, your body starts to produce antibodies. That's what we call natural immunity. So that natural immunity is then boosted by that COVID vaccine. So actually, instead of you starting at a 40% efficacy, they said it's somewhere around 75, 80%. And then when you get your second one, that puts you on into that 90%, that 94, 95 percentile. So that's how that works. The vaccine actually serves as a booster to the natural immunity that you already have from having the virus anyway.
Gotcha. All right, we have another question from Tim. It says, does the current vaccines address new strands of COVID-19? If not, doesn't confidence and freedom of interaction increase potential spread of versions it doesn't protect against?
Okay, so it's a few ways to go at that. The Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines, of course, they don't address the new strands because those strands were, they came about after they were already released. It's a few more. The Johnson & Johnson did, in fact, have efficacy against the two strands that were found outside of the U.S. And then Novavax has one that's coming down, and it has efficacy against the strands that were found outside of the U.S. But the Pfizer and Moderna, they don't have any efficacy of those strands. But I will say, in addition to that, those strands that were found, they are more contagious. They are highly contagious as well, but they are less debilitating. So they don't get you as sick as the strand that we were experiencing here in America.
Gotcha. Good stuff. So as we wrap this up, I just want to hear from both of you guys what the misconception when it comes to Black people, when it comes to Black men in regards to health, COVID-19 vaccines and whatnot. What's one thing that you would like to address to them? Like what would you like to say to them? I know that we're not trying to push it on them, but we just want them to be as informed as possible with this. So what's one thing that you would just say that you would give them a little bit of hope on?
I guess I have two things, right? So one of the things that our initiative is really trying to show people is the importance of awareness. And it's not just COVID awareness, but it's self-awareness as well, right? And let's step a little bit back. If you're a man, if you're a Black man, there are already so many things against us, right? We're more likely to be affected by police brutality. We're more likely to die earlier. Our life expectancy is later. We have all of these things stacked up against us, and then we have our children, right? I'm a father. I have a 7-year-old daughter. Her name is Yara, and that's my heart. And so when I'm thinking about this, it's bigger than me. It's not about me. And even when I went to consider and start doing my own research on COVID, I had a very close friend of mine that I got into more or less heated conversation with, because I was so gung-ho on it, right? Like, you need to get vaccinated. You know, you listen to conspiracy theories. And I had to take a step back for myself to say, this isn't about a bashing, right? We're not trying to make people feel bad. We're not trying to come at your neck like you're stupid or you're dumb or you have these questions, like just do it. No. That's not what this is about. For Black men, we have to understand that we have to look out for our families, right? We have to educate ourselves and be aware for my daughter, right? For my mother, for my family, for my people. And if I'm not being aware, if I'm not taking the time to at least say, hey, I heard this about the vaccine, but I haven't done any of my own research, I challenge anybody listening to this or anybody that sees this after it to do your own research, because this is a global pandemic. And across the globe, our population, once again, is the highest one at risk. So think about that when we think about where we're getting our information from. And who are those people that are telling us how bad this is? Are they doctors? Are they medical experts? Are they our homies, right? Our boys that maybe he does finance and he has his opinion about it, or my guy that does, real estate and he's talking about it and he has no background. Like my Dr. James right here, my guy, he has a background in it, right? So when I had my questions, I went to him. So as a Black man, find your resources and find reputable sources to get your info. And that's my challenge to all. Be aware.
Yeah, I agree. In addition to that, just, don't, like I said, I say this all the time, and this is kind of one of the things I stand on when we speak to this. Don't let the reason you don't get vaccinated, don't let that be because of an unanswered question. Let it be because you asked that question and you got the answer you wanted. Now you're informed and you're saying, okay, no, I don't want that, or that doesn't make sense to me. Don't let it be because you had a question and lingering in your mind and you never asked it, or you never, because it could very well be you asked that question and there's a real fact, a real legitimate answer on the other side of that question, which could be the barrier between life and death. I mean, I know it doesn't, seem to be like that all the time, but it could be the barrier between getting COVID-19 or not getting COVID-19, or, someone else getting COVID-19 or not getting COVID-19. Right. Because, and a lot of the healthier of us, we feel like, okay, I'm healthy, I'm strong, I can fight it, I'm okay. Once again, as Mikhail just said, it's not about you, it's not about me. It's about grandma, it's about granddaddy, it's about uncle, it's about brother, who once again, we know what we suffer from as a people who may not have that strong immune system. Yeah, you might be okay. Yeah, you might come home and spread it to them, and they might not be okay. They might just be that one, that succumbed from it, Lord forbid. So that 1 in 550. So when you think about this holistically, and at first, when this all happened, we didn't even see it. But I don't feel like as a culture we saw what this does. But this is going to have to force us to do some real thinking about our own personal health, and this is going to force us to come together behind the cause.
Good words. I definitely mirror everything that both of you guys stated. I know for me personally, when it comes to speaking about any type of health, when it comes to African American men, it's like this. It's like the room gets quiet and
no, don't talk about that.
Oh, listen, when I got my first shot and I let just general conversation, I let a group of people know that I had got it, and you could feel it on them. You could feel it on like what, like, and and I was just like, well, can't we just celebrate the fact that what I'm saying, that I even did the due diligence to find information to. What I'm saying? And I don't think we praise that or even talk about that enough. And I don't know why that's the case, but I would love for Black people in general, let alone African American men, have spaces that we could talk about these type of things and have concerns about it. We're not saying, like I said, you guys are not pushing it on people to do it. It's just the fact that y'all just giving the knowledge. And I appreciate that, me personally, because it's been plenty of times I've been around certain situations and I never had the resources, or I never had anybody to talk to about it, or having two Black guys come and tell me about the importance of health, African American health. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's crazy that we're talking like that. But I mean, that's just my, I know that's my testimony. And so I appreciate you guys coming through for sure. And making the time to come to Jacksonville to let everybody know what's going on. So,
and let everybody know too, right? We have an opportunity if you do have those questions. May 8th, this upcoming Saturday, we're going to be hosting a vaccination clinic / health screening fair, right? So we'll have a lot of vendors out there that'll be providing information about health related info. Folks that might not have insurance or might need to know more about their personal health. We'll be doing screenings for folks for free. We'll also have an opportunity to learn more about COVID-19 vaccinations. Dr. James and his health team will be there answering any of the questions that folks have. We're going to have a lot of special guests as well. So it's at 4510 Soutel Drive at Masters Touch Ministries. We'll be there from 9 to 5 p.m. Got a lot of special guests coming through. Dr. Doom with iHeartRadio. We also have Mike Cobb coming in from 107.9 in the morning. So it's going to be a really nice opportunity for folks to come and have a casual experience and learn more about this disease that is truly killing our people, man. And I hate to leave it on that note, but we have to wake up and just be aware and understand it's not about you.
It's not about you.
It's not about you. So again, thank you so much, brothers, for coming through. Mikhail Scott, Dr. Bruce James, FAMU, Rattlers. I have to keep saying that because I have so many people. Manifest. Gotta represent for the FAMU, man. So, but brothers, thank you so much. I will definitely be out there Saturday. We will be chopping it up. I definitely formally introduce myself, and we're finna get this knowledge to these people, man.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you, Mr. Peters.
Thank you. So give me 1 second. All right, my peoples. Thank y'all so much. MPN Network Podcast. This will be uploaded so you can listen to it. The playback will be on the YouTube, Facebook pages, all that great stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in, man. Please come out Saturday. It's 4510 Soutel Drive. Let me get that place again. I'm sorry. Masters Touch Ministry, 4510 Soutel Drive, 9 a.m., 5 p.m. Please come through and check it out, y'all. Be great, y'all. We'll talk soon.